So welcome back. In today's lecture, we will be looking at symmetry of the normal modes that we have seen in the last class, right? So we have seen that there are three n total modes or total degrees of freedom present, out of which three are translational, two or three are rotational, and rest of them are vibrational. So now let us try to see if we can actually visualize those vibrational symmetry of the vibrational modes and actually visualize how the vibrations are going to look like in different molecules. Okay, so let us start the discussion with symmetry of normal modes. So in this, the symmetry of translational and vibrational modes is easier to identify. So what is that? Let us see. Symmetry of translational modes is basically the IR representations under that particular point to which the molecule belongs. So IR representations for which X, Y, and Z form the basis, right? So this information can be easily obtained from the character table, that what unit vectors, so unit vector are transforming or forming the basis for which IR representation, and that will be the symmetry of the translational mode, because translational modes go with motion in X, Y, and Z direction, right? So similarly, symmetry of rotational modes is equal to IR representations for which the rotational unit vectors, that is Rx, Ry, Rz, forms the basis, right? So that is easy to see. Now, how to find out symmetry of vibrational modes? This is non-trivial. It is not as trivial as it is for. So let us see how to do this. So first of all, let us go step by step. So consider a set of three orthogonal and normalized, that is Cartesian coordinates, normalized vectors centered on each atom. We will go through this step by step, but let us first see what are the steps involved. So this, all of this which we are doing is to find out the symmetry of vibrational modes. So first you have to do is consider a set of three vectors which are orthogonal and normalized, that is Cartesian coordinates, which will be centered on each atom. Okay, so that would mean that if there are n atoms, there would be 3n such vectors, right? Now entire set of 3n vectors will form a basis for the reducible representation of the point group, right? So we can create, so we have vectors on each atom. Now we can create a reducible representation of the point group using this as the basis. Now once we have the reducible representation, next step is reduce the reducible representation, reduce the reducible representation to component irreducible representations. So that also we have learned and we have practiced enough, so we know how to do it. This is done using reduction formula, right? So now I will not go through all the calculations. I will just tell you how to do it step by step, and we'll look at the answer. So I expect now you do the calculations at home using different molecules. Okay. Now what you have to do is, so after you reduce, so now you have got a total set of IR representation which are basically the symmetry of the full normal modes, all the normal modes. Now what you have to do is, out of this, subtract the IR representations corresponding to translational and rotational modes. So once you subtract this, what you have got is, you will get symmetry or IR representations which will correspond to the vibrational modes. So let us take an example of water. Point group is C2V, right? We have been discussing this a lot. So now first step is to put, so you have water. So first step here is to place X, Y, Z on all three atoms. So three vectors on each atom, right? So this is X1, Y1, Z1, X2, Y2, Z2. Now create a reducible representation. So under C2V point group, so C2V, what are the symmetry operations? We have C2Z, sigma XZ, and sigma YZ, right? And we are trying to create tau 3n. Okay. Now for E, so now there are 9 vectors, so the dimension has to be 9 cross 9. So for E, let us see how to do this. So the matrix will be, matrix for these vectors will be written like this: X1, Y1, Z1, X2, Y2, Z2, X3, Y3, Z3. Okay. Now all of it will remain unchanged, right? So I'm not going to write the whole thing. So this same thing will remain, or let us just write down for completeness: X2, Y2, Z2, X3, Y3. Now this implies that my E matrix is nothing but a unit matrix of 9 cross 9 order. So all my diagonal elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The rest everything will be 0, right? So I'm not going to write all the elements. So everything else will be 0, and you have diagonal as 9. So my trace will be coming as 9, right? So everything will contribute. So now let's go to second symmetry operation, which is C2Z. If we perform C2Z onto the same matrix again, X1, Y1, Z1, X2, Y2. Now what happens? What is the change which is happening? Let us go back to the molecule and see. So if we are doing C2Z, that means atom number 1 will be replaced with atom number 3, right? And what else will change? If atom number 1 and 3 will be interchanged, and x will go to minus x, y will go to minus y, z will remain as positive. So these are the changes which we'll have to create in this matrix. So x1 will be replaced with x3 and there will be a negative sign. y1 will be replaced with y3 and there will be a negative sign. z1 will be replaced with z3. x2, the atom remains at the position. So x2 goes to minus x2, y2 goes to minus y2, z2 remains as z2. x3 is replaced with x1, so this goes to minus x1, minus y1 and z1. So that means under C to Z we can say atom 1 and 3 are interchanged, and the second effect is x goes to minus x, y goes to minus y, and z remains as z. These are the changes which are happening. So then how would my matrix look like here? Because we need to write the matrix to be able to write the character. Now let's see, x1, y1, z1 goes to x3, y3, z3 and with a negative sign. So I will write minus 1, 1 over here, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And my x2 remains at x2, y2, z2 remains at its own position, so that will not change the block. So that means I will have minus 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, right? Now x3 has gone to x1 position, so I will write minus 1, 1 over here, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Rest everything will be 0, right? So now if you see that the trace is only contributed by x2, y2, z2. So the trace will be minus 1, minus 1, minus 2, plus 1. So this will be minus 1. So let us write down the trace over here. So our trace is now minus 1 here. Now similarly, let's write down the trace for sigma xz. So I will do it for water and I'll give you a little bigger molecule so that you can try it out by yourself at home. Now let's do for sigma xz. So it is important to understand how to work this out. So again, we'll write the same matrix. Now let's see what is the effect of sigma xz. So effect of sigma xz, which is the plane going through this and reflecting atom 1 and atom 3. So again, 1 is reflected with 3 and only y changes its sign. X, because the plane is xz, so x and z will not change its sign. So I will write down effect is atom 1 and 3 are interchanged, and second change is y goes to minus y. X and z will not change its sign. So that means I can write x1 goes to x3, y1 goes to minus y3, z1 goes to z1. x2 remains at its own position, just that the y changes its sign, and x3 goes to x1, minus y1 and z1. So this will give me sigma xz as, let us try to write down again. So again, x1 and 3 are replaced, so I will write one block over here. So these two blocks will be 0 and I will have 1, minus 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, right? x2 remains at its own position, so I will have 1, minus 1, 1, So 0, 0, 0. So this block is 0, this block is 0, this block is 0, 0. x3 and x1 are interchanged, so I will have 1, minus 1, 1. But again, the trace is contributed only by the atom which is not moved, so I will have plus 1 as the trace now. And we are working with only trace, right? So that's why we want to know what is the trace over here. Now let's do the same thing for sigma yz. Now for sigma yz, it's the plane of the board. So that means none of the atoms will move now, and x goes to minus x, right? That is the only change because now the plane is yz, right? So I have sigma yz. So none of the atoms are moving, so that means I'm not going to change the position. Only the x sign of the x will go negative. So this implies that my sigma yz, the matrix will be minus 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, minus 1, 1, 1, minus 1, 1, 1. Rest everything is 0, right? Now the trace is contributed by all three atoms because they are unmoved, and there are 6 positives, 3 negatives, so I will have plus 3 as the trace, right? So I will write down trace as plus 3. Now that you have determined the trace, so you can easily reduce this, right? Reduce this 9 minus 1, 1, 3. But before we actually do that, let us see an easier way to do this calculation, finding the tau 3n, right? So why we are saying that, let us say if we want to work with the benzene molecule. So let's say if you want to work with benzene, how many atoms are there? 6 carbons and then 6 hydrogens, right? So there in total there are 12 atoms, and 12 atoms means 3 vectors on each atom. That would mean 36 dimensional matrix, right? So 36 dimensional matrix you will have to write down, and any mistake in writing any of this will screw up the whole calculation and all the vibrational modes will go wrong, right? So we don't want that. So let's see how to handle such a situation when you are dealing with large molecules. So the easier trick is the streamlined procedure. See, it is important to know how that streamlined procedure is developed, and for that you need to know the lengthy procedure also. Is first step is determine the number of atoms that remain unshifted upon a symmetry operation. That is easy to identify, right? How many atoms would remain unshifted? We'll see again the case of water and see how easy it is. Find out sum of characters of IR representations to which X, Y, Z forms the basis. Multiply the numbers in 1 and 2 in step 1 and 2. Okay, so now let us see, for that we need to write down the character table of C2V. So E C2Z sigma XZ sigma YZ. So we have A1, A2, B1, B2. You have all positives. For A2 you have both sigmas negative. For B1 -1, 1 -1, 1 -1 -1 1. Now if you see that the unit vector transformation as the basis, so unit vectors are Z over here, RZ, X, RX, and Y. Sorry, X, R, Y over here, and X. Okay, now what is the first step? First step is to find out number of unshifted atoms. Number of unshifted atoms. So when you do E operation, all 3 atoms will remain unshifted. When you do C2Z, only 1 will remain unshifted. Sigma XZ, oxygen will remain unshifted. Sigma YZ, all 3 will remain unshifted, right? Then second step is to find out sum of characters for IR representation for which X, Y, and Z are forming the basis. So tau X, Y, Z. So 1 plus 1 plus 1. So Z is the basis here, X is the basis here, Y is the basis here. So I'm going to summation these 3. So now 1 plus 1 plus 1, 3. 1 plus -1 -1. So I will get -1 over here. Then 1 1 -1. So I will get +1. 1 -1 1. So I will get +1. Right? Now I multiply these two. And this will be tau 3n, which we had written using all sorts of matrix writing thing. So now if you just multiply these two, so multiply these two, you will get 9 -1 1 and +3. And this was the trace which we were getting, which we got when we actually wrote the complete matrix, right? Okay, so once you had obtained tau 3n, then the next step is easy. So next step is just reduce this. So using reduction formula, you can write down tau 3n is equal to, I am just noting down the answer, which is 3a1 plus a2 plus 3b1. Please do it yourself and check this calculation if I have not made any mistake. Plus 2b2. Okay. Now to obtain tau vibrational, what you have to do is you have to subtract tau 3n. You have to use tau 3n and subtract tau translational and tau rotational. Now tau 3n is this, so I will write 3a1 plus a2 plus 3b1 plus 2b2, right? Minus, what is tau rotational now? Oh, sorry, tau translational. Translational is x, y, and z. So a1, b1, b2. a1, b1, b2, right? And similarly for rotational will be for which Rx, Ry, Rz will form basis. So that will be A2, B1, B2. So this is A2, B1, B2. Now do this simple maths and what you will get is 2A1 plus B1 So this tells you that there are 3 modes of vibration. And if you actually record this vibrational spectrum of water, you will get 3 vibrational modes. Okay. So now, but we don't know what are those vibrational modes. That we will look at later in the next lecture. But at least now we know that how many lines are expected from vibrational spectrum if we record vibrational spectrum of a molecule. So this is purely theoretical basis, but without having to record vibrational spectrum, you know beforehand only that you must be getting 3 lines, right? Because there are 3 modes of vibration which are coming. Okay, now let's quickly take another example of little higher, bigger molecule. So let's say CH4 molecule. Point group is TD, right? Now here 3n is equal to 3 into 5. So remember that there are 5 atoms now, 1 carbon and 4 protons. So you'll have 15 total modes, out of which 3 will be translational, 3 will be rotational. So how many vibrational modes will be there? There will be 9 modes, right? So 9 modes of vibration. But that is not necessary that all 9 modes will give you 9 lines. There can be some degeneracy, which we can only tell once we actually calculate the IR representation or symmetry corresponding to those 9 modes. That is the reason I am discussing this example here. So in the water case, we had only 1D representations. So 1D representations means all 3 modes will give you 3 different lines. There is no degeneracy possible. Accidental degeneracy is a different thing, but theoretical degeneracy is not possible. But in case of TD point group, you have 2D and 3D presentations. So if 9 modes of vibration may show some degeneracy, so that's why we wanted to test this case. So now let us go to that character table, so that without having to write the whole matrix, we can just write down the tau 3n. So TD, we have E, 8C3, 3C2, 6S4, and 6 sigma D. And this is for the basis set. And we have A1. So I'm just writing the character table, nothing fancy about it. Okay, so now XYZ together forms the basis for T2, RX, RY, RZ together forms the basis for T1. So that means we don't have to take the sum also. It's very easy now. So tau XYZ is basically same as T2. So you have 0, minus 1, minus 1, 1. Number of atoms which remain unshifted. And that you have to estimate by imagining the operation which we have to. So under E, it will be 5. All 5 atoms will remain unshifted. Under C3, so C3, it will be 2 atoms, proton and carbon, right? Rest of the 3 protons will move. So you have 2 unshifted. In C2, you have only 1 unshifted. In S4, again, there is only 1 unshifted. Sigma D, plane will be formed by at least 3 atoms, so you'll have 3 unshifted, right? Now you can calculate tau 3n, which will be 15. So it's a 15-dimensional matrix. So E will have 15, 0, -1, -1, 3. Now you have got tau 3n. So using reduction formula, you can easily reduce tau 3n, right? Using reduction formula, tau 3n is equal to A1 plus E plus T1 plus 2T2. Now this is the total one. Now for tau vibrational, we have to subtract the rotational and translational out of it. Tau 3n minus tau translational minus tau rotational. So this will give you A1 plus E plus 2T2. So you can count whether you are getting 9 modes, because initially we saw that out of 15 modes, 9 modes should be for vibrational. So you are getting 1 here, 2 here, because this is doubly degenerate. So 1 plus 2, 3, and 2 of them are triply degenerate. So 6 over here. So total 9 modes of vibration you are getting. So your calculation is correct. 9 modes of vibration. See, if you make any mistake, you will not get 9 modes here, right? So now, if we compare the experimental observation, shows 4 lines in vibrational spectrum. So although the modes are 9, but we only see 4 lines. Why do we see 4 lines? Because there are 4 modes. So 2 of them are degenerate here, and 3 of them are degenerate in 1, and 3 of them are degenerate in 1. So you should see maximum 4 lines and not more than that, which is defined by 4 set of IR representations in vibrational spectrum. So you will get new one for which is with A1 symmetry, new 2 with E symmetry, and these are 2 degenerate modes. We don't know yet whether these are stretching modes or bending modes and so on. Now new 3 with T2 symmetry and new 4 with T2 symmetry. But what are these modes? That we still don't know, right? What we have done is we have identified that there are, out of 9 modes of vibration, we should be observing 4 lines in the spectrum. Now these 4 lines will correspond to what? Whether there is asymmetric stretching, antisymmetric stretching, what kind of bonds will be stretching, what kind of bonds will be compressing. All those things also we can do, but that we will learn in next class. Okay. So meanwhile, try to practice, take different molecules and see if you can get to this stage of finding the IR representations corresponding to tau vibrational. Pick up any given molecule for which we have done previous calculations like BF3, NO3, or take an octahedral molecule, take any big molecule and see if you are able to get, and then find out if it matches with the theoretical description of vibrational spectrum. Okay, that is all for today. Next class, we'll see how to visualize these vibrational modes. Thank you.